Hi guys, and welcome to part 2 of Tailored Training's Fat Loss Mini-Series. This whole section is dedicated to exercise. We're going to cut through a couple of myths that you believe about fat loss and go through what our favorite things are to do and give you just a little bit more information. So if you've watched a lot of our stuff, you probably know everything that I'm about to say, right? If you've not watched any of our stuff, once I've said all of this, go back through and watch a lot of the shows and information we put out because we do talk about this a lot. Remember, our goal, my mission in life, is just to cut through this stuff and give you the truth about everything you need to know. So let's talk about exercise and fat loss. Let's go through some myths. The biggest myth out there is cardio. You gotta do your cardio. You gotta do your cardio. Every Instagram wannabe trainer out there is gonna talk about how doing your cardio is so important. Don't do cardio. It is a waste of your time, period. If your job is to do fitness, do some cardio, you probably have the time for it. Cardio, low intensity exercise, running, cycling, those types of things, those your typical ones that you'll see. Go to any gym, most gyms, and you'll see ellipticals, right? Treadmills. Those are your lower intensity exercise. Now, any of those activities can be turned into good activities. We'll talk about that later. Cardio teaches your metabolism to slow down a little bit. The longer you can do something, the more efficient your metabolism must become. So we're gonna slow it down a little bit. You're also not burning as many calories when you're doing cardio, right? You're not making your body work a little harder, and that's what we really want to do. It also doesn't help build strength, right? And it has different effect on your hormones than doing really quality exercise that will actually give you a ton of benefits. Also, most cardio style exercise is very limited range of motion. So when you jog or you cycle, for example, your hips and your knees don't go through full range of motion. Over time, tendons, ligaments, even muscles can tighten up because they're not being put through the full range that they were designed to go through. That's probably the biggest miss with exercise. If I want to go through, maybe talk about some other possible myths with exercise, the more is better philosophy, not necessarily, right? It can be if you're doing it right. Do you have to work out till you barf? No. If you're throwing up, you've worked out too hard, right? Now, in some instances in life, professional athletes will go there because they're pushing their bodies to exceed limits that previously didn't exist, right? But recognize that that's not healthy, right? That's harmful. Those are some myths about exercise. What should you be doing for exercise? And you've probably heard this 100 times, HIIT training, high intensity interval training, right? What does that mean? It means that instead of just going at a regular pace, you do intervals of higher intensity work. Not necessarily as hard as you can possibly go, but just higher intensity. So we use what we call the perceived exertion scale, right? So if you can do something, have a light sweat and have a conversation, that's our cardio 60% low intensity. If you get to the point that you can't communicate very well with people, have a hard time talking, but you can get some words out, that's kind of like our 80% medium intensity. If you cannot talk because you can barely breathe, right? Like you are gasping, that's high intensity. Now you're working at 90, 95%, right? So you need to know those numbers, that low intensity, that medium intensity, and that high intensity. What we want are intervals at the medium and the high. So you do an interval at the medium or high intensity, say it takes 30 seconds, then you would back off and you would rest and recover for 30 to 60 seconds. So we call that a 1-to-1 ratio or a 1-to-2 ratio. That is the key with your exercise. So you can, with running and cycling, put those intervals in, but remember, you're not just going for a straight exercise session then, right? It's that 1-to-1 or 1-to-2 ratio of high intensity to low intensity, right? Notice I didn't say rest. Low intensity. Remember, we've got 3 things on that scale: high intensity, medium intensity, low intensity. High intensity interval, low intensity recovery. Easy breezy. If you can do it longer than a minute, it wasn't high intensity. If you can do it longer than a minute and a half, it wasn't medium intensity, you're in low intensity. How do you know if you're working with enough intensity? can't breathe, barely, right? High intensity, and you can't do that longer than 30 to 60 seconds. How do you know when you're at medium intensity? You can maybe get out some words, but it's pretty hard. You're not gonna be making sentences. That's medium intensity, and that should last 60 to 90 seconds. And after 60 to 90 seconds of whatever you're doing, you can't do any more. Low intensity, light sweat, you can have a conversation and go for a long time. There you go. So make all of your exercises high intensity interval training. Workout sessions should be somewhere between 30 and 60 minutes, roughly. Some people who are really fit will work out for 90 to 120 minutes. Other people who are just getting started, 15 minutes might be all you want. But you always will be striving to do a little bit more, right? If you can get to a point where you can work out those intervals of medium to high intensity for about 45 minutes, nailed it. That's what you're looking for. How many times a week should you be exercising? 7. Make 3 days a week, high intensity, 2 or 3 days a week, medium intensity, and then 2 or 3 days a week, low intensity. That's how we put that together. But the key for long-term fat loss success and health is you should be doing something active, dedicated to being active every single day. Maybe it's a 20-minute low intensity aerobic activity one day, and then a 60-minute high intensity interval training session the other day, but every day we're doing something. And this is where you can go back and watch part 1 with our lifestyle. You take your kids to the sports, instead of just sitting there, walk up and down the stairs. Like, be that annoying person walking up and down the stairs. We're cool with that. Tell them Taylor made you do it. Now we're going to talk to you about our very favorite fat loss pieces of equipment. Right? So normally we don't talk about equipment because we don't want people to think that they need to have it. I do not have sponsorships or endorsements with anything. Our absolute favorite training tool is the kettlebell. We love it. Do not just go buy a kettlebell at the local hardware store and start doing it on your own. You need to learn how to use them properly. Once you learn how to use them properly, then you can do them at home in your basement if you want. Totally, totally cool. But learn from a good coach first. And then you can, when you got all the exercises, like, it's awesome. Sprints, we love sprints. Again, never longer than 100 meters. Like, have you looked at the shape and the conditioning of the 100-meter sprinters, right? So sprint on that ratio we talked about, right? So if you sprint 100 meters, then you light walk 200 meters, 1-to-2 ratio. We love those. Battle ropes, if you've not seen them, they're super awesome. You pretty much just shake a big rope around. Then we have sleds and prowlers. So you can use logs or a real sled or real prowler. They're essentially just something that you can push or pull that has a lot of weight. If you have a cottage, find a big log, grab it and drag it through the forest. That's literally great training, right? So sleds and prowlers, we are huge fans of as well. How you want to put all your workouts together, always in intervals and circuits. No need to do body part splits, chest day today and tomorrow's tri day and then ab day. Quit that. Intervals and circuits. Big body part exercises all the time, right? Using that equipment and intervals and circuits, using those intensity levels. That is everything you need to know about exercise, right? Super simple. It's totally not. It does not have to be us. It does not have to be me. But you do have to work with a qualified, experienced fitness professional to teach you how to do these things. Do you have to work with them for the rest of your life? No, absolutely not. But you want to make sure you get a good program set up and a good exercise set up, and your form is good. You're not going to hurt yourself, right? Because if you overdo anything, you're going to hurt yourself. Think about your body like a car. Some of you might, but most of you would not go outside and fix your car by yourself. And I'm not talking just like an oil change or put air in the tires. I mean, like, replace the brakes, take the engine out and put in new pistons, change, put in a new drive shaft. You're not gonna do this stuff on your own. You're gonna take that to a mechanic. Your body's the same. Once it gets completed, then you can run the car and do it on your own and just do some maintenance stuff, but you do need that help, right? That expertise in those tools. So seek out the right qualified people to get you there so that you're set up properly for long-term success. If you have any other questions about exercise and how that pertains to fat loss, Do not believe the myth that exercise is not useful for long-term success. It is very useful for long-term success, and there are other benefits from the exercise beyond fat loss. Growing new brain cells, decreased risk of dementia and Alzheimer's, decreased stress, improved hormone response. The list of the benefits of exercise are innumerable. So important. You do need exercise in your life every single day. If you got more questions, please always feel free to send them our way.